Yeah, what's going on, YouTube?
Janice, look, I'm in there. Janice, look. I'm looking. It's easy. You just answer some simple questions online and get covered on a piece of chip phone.
I'm using this by way of fair use. Fair use to YouTube. You see what this means? Fair use. Fair use. All this is fair use.
In clinical studies, it showed significant clearing in just 12 weeks. Reactions may include skin irritation, eczema, atopic dermatitis, and skin burning. Avoid exposure to sunlight and sunlight, and wear sunscreen and sun exposure cannot be avoided. Ask your doctor if epidural cortisol may be much for you. No, you don't follow nothing. I'm sorry, what I said. I messed up. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to be a grown up. I'm really good. Really, I know my gosh. Brianna's gonna need a whole lot more than you were about to say. Oh, sweet. Oh, no, what you said. London. I was upset. Yeah, but you know what? You're right. I've only traveled the world and studied everywhere, and yeah, I'm rich and famous. But what do I have to show for it? I don't private. I mean, look at you. You're a nurse. You have kids. You get a beautiful paycheck. So grown up and raising me. And all I have is all access pass to the art club and Sandra. But London, you recognize that at the start. Look, you're still young, okay? You're gonna build your own piece, but you're still young. Right?
I ain't even got back what you get.
You get my water.
Look like shit. That's too fucking horrible.
Well, I gotta move from around there and all that. My phone was full.
Oh. I just want to know when it comes to free stuff, why we the first ones to show. I'm just let y'all see this.
Working to get an answer for hundreds of people who were turned away today while trying to apply for Section 8 housing. The one-day event to apply for housing vouchers abruptly ended this morning, leaving many angry. Senator Simon. People on the street told Senator Side the event was canceled after a fight broke out. A police spokesperson told us they sent 40 officers out there. They lined up before the.
How many of those people you see?
As the temperature started to rise, so did September.
I was almost at the front of the line. Two ladies had to fight. They could be pushing and arguing for a long time. Some of these people out here is skipping line all day.
By way of fair use.
Fair use. All day, that they've been just
fair
out
use.
Here picking fights.
Police confirmed the Senator Side several fights broke out, but officers arrested no one. EMS also came to help the people who were getting sick in the heat.
Oh God, this is just ridiculous, man. Like we've been out here since 4 o'clock. Some people been out here since 9 o'clock last night.
Now they shut it down.
The event stopped abruptly, leaving this crowd with a whole bunch of questions and a whole lot of anger.
In Section 8, of course you want fair housing. You also want reduced housing. That's why we're all here. Well,
what to a T?
And I got gout in my leg. And I'm gonna walk out and sit on.
Jesus Christ.
This is very disorganized and ridiculous to me. And I'm on out here trying to better my future, but I see I can't do that because we have a bunch of ignorant folks out here.
Well, late this afternoon, the Portsmouth Housing and Redevelopment Authority told 10 on Your Side that they canceled the event because they were concerned for the safety of the citizens out there. They said that they will begin accepting applications online in the near future. That process will be announced in the coming weeks, and they will post a message on their website to let people know about it. Stephanie Harris, 10 on Your Side.
It ain't hard.
There's a growing push at the state level to crack down on welfare spending. In some cases, it's about how much is spent and for how long. In other cases, it's about making sure the money is spent well. Kansas became the latest state today. Governor Sam Brownback signed a law establishing stricter limits on eligibility and on the use of benefits. Nearly 24 states have made some kind of change to their rules. Our economics correspondent Paul Solomon has been looking into welfare reform and how it's been working before these latest moves. It's part of our ongoing reporting, Making Sense, which airs every Thursday on the NewsHour.
The wait is crazy there, like almost 3 to 4 hours.
3 to 4 hours
Minimum to just go like into the office.
in Boston. 24-year-old Ashley Murphy, single mother of a boy 4 and girl 1. She's been on welfare since 2013. Would do anything to get off.
I feel like they kind of look down on you in a way.
Murphy is now in a privately funded career training class, hoping to get a job in nursing and off welfare, which she's on because she quit her last job in retail. And why'd you quit?
I was working there for over 2 years and I just got $9 an hour.
And how many hours did you get in a typical week?
It decreased to like 4 to 8 hours
You were only getting 4 to 8 hours a week at $9 an hour.
and paid every 2 weeks.
Well, you obviously can't live on that. Thus, it was welfare for Murphy. But to get welfare, you have to work. As of the 1996 Welfare to Work law, passed over skepticism from liberals by Republican Congress with support from President Bill Clinton.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I pledged to end welfare as we know it.
And so he did. This story is about how that effort has fared.
Today, a hope of many years standing is in large part fulfilled.
Welfare as we've come to know it began in 1935 as part of President Roosevelt's Social Security Act, the Aid to Dependent Children program, to help subsidize families that had lost an income-producing father. By the 1970s, welfare had long been a lifeline for single-mother families and a target of critics, encapsulated by Ronald Reagan's references to it in runs for the White House.
It's now common knowledge that our welfare system has itself become a poverty trap, a creator and reinforcer of dependency.
Alina Gardner, a manager at a Boston employment center, doesn't disagree.
I had my first child in 1990, and this was before the welfare reform went in. In those days, you could just be on it forever. You know, there weren't many expectations.
But you were just sitting home collecting benefits. Bad for you?
If you're idle and you're home all day and you're not taking time to invest in yourself so that you're raising children to move into a direction that you want them to be self-sufficient, you're not bad.
You cannot be absent and you cannot be late.
Thus, the Clinton Welfare to Work program, which we've covered from its inception, single mothers ushered off the dole and into the workforce, often groomed by private contract job placement programs like America Works. The jobs weren't always great in the late 90s.
I have cashiers that I need for Krispy Kreme, cashier, food prepper, Fruiter's bagels on 42nd and 6th.
But some held out the hope of upward mobility.
You know what, I have a great position for you. You'll be involved in some of the creative end of the job, as well as dealing with their client base.
I also have a accounts receivable position with time on the cable.
Research from the 1990s and early 2000s seems to show that the families seem to be doing pretty well.
Berkeley economist Hillary Hoynes studies social safety net programs.
Oh, that's TV.
That's
you hear the TV. My fault.
And that didn't happen. There might have been a small group sort of left behind, but for the most part, I think many people were surprised that it worked.
If you just look at the welfare rolls, it more than worked.
How about too much
families on
background
welfare slashed from 12 million 20 years ago to some 3.5 million today. And back in the 90s, bottom tier wages were going up. But, says Hoynes,
That increase in real wages for low-skilled workers in the late 1990s is not experienced in the 2000s.
that's the welfare to work problem today, says job counselor Alina Gardner. You may find low-wage work, but how do you ever move up?
Where's that middle ground, right? There is no more middle ground. It's either you're down here or you're up here, you know?
Sociologist Mary Gatta confirmed this when she went undercover at a New Jersey job center pretending to be unemployed.
After a class, I went up to an instructor and I said, I'm looking for a waitressing job. And she said, this is great. We have a job fair on the boardwalk. Go to the job fair, you'll get a job. So my next question to her was, well, what happens after Labor Day weekend? On the boardwalk after Labor Day, there are no more jobs. And she said, don't worry, we're doing a holiday job fair at the mall.
Yes, seasonal low-wage jobs have always been an issue for the poor entering the workforce, but it's been traumatizingly true since 2000 to date.
Extreme poverty increased by much more in the Great Recession than we would have expected, and all the evidence suggests that that's due to welfare reform.
Food stamps, housing, and healthcare outlays are up, but welfare checks have shrunk so much that the very poorest single-parent families received 35% less than they did before welfare to work began. And there's another major problem for welfare recipients right now: significantly reduced funding for job placement and training. After being told that work as a waitress would be on and off, undercover sociologist Mary Gatta took the all-important class in how to find a job training program.
At the end of the class, they said, well, unfortunately, we've run out of training dollars. So you'd have to wait until the next cycle.
You mean the class was literally about what training was available, and then there turned out to be none?
Yeah, there turned out to be no funding.
I applied for the training in May, but they were not with funds at the time.
At the Boston Center, Vanessa Cooper also was stymied after the training prep class.
It was pretty frustrating waiting for funding that wasn't there.
Neil Sullivan has run job placement for the poor in Boston for more than 30 years.
We were much better off in the late 90s when the federal investment in welfare reform and job training for welfare recipients was enormous as compared to the pittance the federal government is able to invest in these days. The result is welfare recipients languish in the system, and many others are rejected from the system and left to make it on their own, and quite frankly, they don't.
What would be the average blood pressure?
Ashley Murphy is actually lucky to have gotten into a job prep program foundation funded through the city of Boston. Let's hope it gets her a decent job 19 years after welfare to work became the law of the land. For the PBS NewsHour, this is economics correspondent Paul Solman reporting from Boston.
Here's my question. Yeah, what can you afford?
The battle over the minimum wage heated up across the country today as fast food workers in several cities launched a one-day strike. Outside Chicago, near the corporate home of McDonald's, workers protested as the company held its annual meeting. More than 100 were arrested yesterday. The workers are demanding minimum pay of $15 an hour, which brings us to the question, what is it like to live on minimum wage, even in a state with the highest wage in the country?
Do you think minimum wage $15 is a good thing? I think it was.
All part of it.
Because they're just gonna cut everybody's hours.
Everything just seems to be going wrong, you know? So I'm trying to be responsible and fix it, but it's stressing me out.
Taryn Lyons was talking about her car, but it makes...
Like I told you, not everybody is going to be a CEO. And you have to have people who work in lower end jobs.
Yeah, do you think they deserve $15 an hour?
Hell yeah.
See, when you get,
it's real easy to sit here and say,
you got labor.
Well, I didn't make them take those jobs. Sure enough, you didn't, but somebody's got to work those jobs.
And they have something called labor costs and all that. They try to keep the labor costs down as much as possible.
Well, definitely with small businesses, they do.
Yeah, and
The small businesses can't afford it.
yeah,
But the big businesses can.
they stingy or want parsimonious, as you would say. But like, okay, that one Wendy's, I forgot. I think it was in Oregon or California. They wanted that $15 an hour. They gave it to them, but about 70% of the people that work there at Wendy's, they gave them a pink slip. And then whoever works the front, like the cashier, their job got outsourced to a kiosk. So you just walk up to the machine, place your order, and whoever's in the back cooks food. No interaction.
People need to go to school and learn how to do something.
Jason said that he said pay attention within the next 10 years because he said those jobs are gonna be gone. You're gonna be talking to a machine. Yeah, but he said in the next 10 years those jobs will not exist anymore.
That's why they keep trying to bring up a universal income, a universal basic income. Some people swear up and down that they believe that a universal basic income is just going to make people lazier. And I don't know how I feel about that either.
Okay. We're gonna play this video, Universal Basic Income. I'm using this video by way of fair use, as you can see. Fair use. So this individual, I cannot say his name. This is his video. You can.
Brushing only reaches 25% of your mouth. Listerine cleans virtually.
This is the ad. You're gonna let it play. I don't have a YouTube Red on this, so.
What if the state covered your cost of living? Would you still go to work? Go back to school? Not work at all? What would you do? This concept is called a Universal Basic Income, or UBI, and it's nothing less than the most ambitious social policy of our times. In 2017, basic income is gaining momentum around the world. First trials are ongoing or on their way, and a growing number of countries are considering UBI as an alternative to welfare. How would it work, and what are the key arguments for and against? Right now, people can't really agree what universal basic income is or should be. Some want to use it to eliminate welfare and cut bureaucracy. Others want it as a free extra for existing programs, or even want it to be so high that work itself becomes optional. For this video, we'll talk mostly about the minimum basic income, enough money to be above the poverty line. In the US, this means about $1,000 a month or $12,000 a year. The money would not be taxed, and you could do whatever you wanted with it. In this scenario, UBI is a way of transferring the wealth of a society while still keeping the free market intact. But if we hand out free money, will people just spend it on booze and stop working? A 2013 study by the World Bank specifically examined if poor people waste their handouts on tobacco and alcohol if they receive it in the form of cash. The clear answer, no they don't. The opposite is true. Other studies have shown that the richer you are, the more drugs and alcohol you consume.
Yeah, that right there is a fact.
The poor person is a stereotype rather than reality. What about laziness? Universal basic income test runs done in Canada in the 1970s showed that around 1% of the recipients stopped working, mostly to take care of their kids. On average, people reduced their working hours by less than 10%. The extra time was used to achieve goals like going back to school or looking for better jobs. But if laziness and drugs are not a huge deal, Why doesn't our current welfare state solve poverty? Welfare or unemployment programs often come with a lot of strings attached, like taking part in courses, applying to a certain number of jobs a month, or accepting any kind of job offer, no matter if it's a good fit or what it pays. Besides the loss of personal freedom, these conditions are often a huge waste of time and only serve to make the unemployment statistics seem less bad. Often your time would be much better spent looking for the right job, continuing education, or starting a business. Another unwanted...
Okay, that said, how many people you think will do that?
Me?
Huh?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
What?
But let me go back. He said people have that free time. They'll be looking for a better job,
continuing education,
or starting a business. How many people would you think will look for a better job, go back to school?
I can't say. Because you have your typical people that live and breathe to survive off of what in their mind they believe is free money.
Another unwanted.
And then you have people that want a better life. They just need a little help getting there. So it's kind of hard to call it. Because like I said, you got the people that think it's free money, and then you got people that need a little bit of help.
Yeah, because I'm like.
So I would say an educated person, you know.
I'll go back to school.
But that's what I'm saying. You gotta take a person who's been taught better versus people who think that assistance is free money, and a person that knows that's not free money and they know it's a better way and they want a better way. They'll use that money, you know, to keep their bills and everything paid and food in their household, and they will keep working, continue to work, you know, so they can make their life better. But people that's under the assumption that assistance is free money, no, they ain't gonna do that.
Okay, and here's the thing, see, they think that free money is like this. I put place in the mindset of basketball. When you have an assist, ain't that the same thing as assistance? Because you assisted someone to score a point. But at the same time, do you get points off of what they scored? No, it's called assist. Assistance means you assisted somebody else. So I'm the government, I'm assisting you. Even though I'm scoring the bigger points. I'm scoring the points, you just getting assist. I think that was a weak analogy.
Like I told you, you got to remember is you have a lot of uneducated people
that don't want to get educated.
Well,
and they get mad at me because I'll say, you know what, I'm not gonna insult you with common words. I'm gonna insult you with big words. Man, I'm gonna make you look this shit up.
Like I told you, you have to think about the fact that if you were born into a household.
What kind of household?
Hold on. If you were born into a household and you only had one parent there, and that parent never worked, so what you saw was food stamps and stuff like that.
Don't brush up on
any
you.
type of assistance.
Hey, this ain't bad. If my mom did, then it's not bad.
If your mom doesn't have enough sense, mom, dad, whoever, grandmother, doesn't have enough sense to instill work values and education into you coming up, you're not gonna want anything better, because what you see, you think this is the normal to you. What you grow up seeing, this is normal.
And then when somebody tells you the real, you want to rebuttal it. Like, oh, okay, then how come you ain't getting on them? I'm like,
once again, because this is what you know. That's what people tend to overlook a lot of times. People go with what they know. Just like they tell you, you become what you hang around.
and like, damn, I was gonna remember. Like, okay, remember when welfare back then, way back when it first came out? Okay, no, I'm gonna say it like this.
We weren't alive when it first came out.
I'm gonna say that. From what I found, from what I done seen and what I heard about it, they said back then that was some embarrassing shit to do. To go sit there and offer, and everybody looked down on you because you was getting assistance.
Here's what's crazy. It's still embarrassing. But
black people done made that shit like it's a thing to do.
Bro, it's embarrassing to people that know they get up and go to work. When you're forced into a situation where you need assistance, that's totally different than someone that's raised on assistance. See, the people that's raised on it
don't know nothing else.
Like I said, that's the normal to them.
They don't
know anything else. So going out and get a job, what you talking about? They don't get it. But to a person who has worked all their life or however long, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, is no longer working that job and they need a little assistance for a little while, it's embarrassing. It shouldn't be, because it's your money anyway. You pay taxes.
If you've
ever worked, that's your money anyway. So you should not be embarrassed if you have to go and say, hey, I need a little help.
That's your tax money.
That's your money. You don't even have to say tax money. It's your money. You put it into the system.
Yep, and it's like this, people want, and it's like, it was like an embarrassing thing. You say, you sit there, you have your head down, and over time, it started becoming normal. You have the career welfare mother, just having kids, don't work, get welfare.
It's more complicated than you think. And in your mind, it's only the ghetto people that have lived in the projects and stuff like that. But
no, some of them motherfuckers be living in good ass houses.
It's a whole hell of a lot more people than that. That's the smallest group of people that you're looking at that receives assistance.
There's more white people on welfare than black people.
Oh, it's a whole hell of a lot more.
But when welfare check, the stamp don't come in, who be clowning the fuck out?
Hello? What's happening to Tiger Reno? You're not knocked out, actually.
Benadryl. What's going on, Miss Benadryl?
Yeah, well, the text message I sent last night, early this morning, real. And phone call and call. We can go tomorrow.
Keep the fan on.
Yeah, I got enough to make it to tomorrow. I kind of figured you were asleep though. It's all good. I wasn't ready to go no anyway.
What's going on, y'all? Who is this?
No, listen.
What's up, Benadryl?
Hey, over here hollering, what's up, Benadryl? Benadryl. It's not Benadryl, it's NyQuil.
That's the same fucking thing.
She said you're actually right, it's Benadryl this time. Yeah, you just keep this in mind. When you come pick me up tomorrow, I was planning on going to your house to take some medicine. Because my allergies is so fucked up.
Brownies.
You know, and I don't have nothing here, so.
You got some brownies, Tiger?
You can give me a shot or something. And I'll be going on anyway because I have to take my other medication.
Tiger Reno, you got a brownie or anything? I'm sorry, God. We having a phone call.
Some medicine. I mean, I don't have any.
You need some brownie medication.
He over here hollering brownies. You ask you if you got some brownies. No,
some medicated brownies.
Them things are not free, son. Those are not free.
How much for a corner?
You talking about how much for a corner?
How much, nigga?
She don't know what you talking about. Shut the hell up.
Okay. I see how it is.
No. I see how it is. You need to shut your damn mouth right now.
Hey, you tell her I made my cookies and
He ain't talking about nothing. Tell you he made his cookies. Girl, he made them cookies and fucked them up. They end up being cookie crumbs.
But they were still good. You ate the motherfuckers though. You TV.
You say they still stick.
All right, guys, we're gonna go.
Many welfare programs is that they trap people in poverty and promote passive behavior. Imagine a benefit of $1,000 each.
All right, I want to know. You still on the call? Right.
She still got hers real short.
Month. In a lot of programs.
I know it's killing your ass too. Always chopping my damn hair off. Okay, that's fine. What you said we're gonna do that tomorrow, right? Change. I just gotta be there before they close. They close at 6, I think. Yeah, but I know if we go down there around 1, I know they shut down at 1:30 for lunch, from 1:30 until 2. So I know that. Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I ain't getting ready to go to wedding. Tomorrow? Well, you know I gotta get up and make sure I'm up by 9 so I can take my medicine. Okay. I get on up. Yeah, I get on up. Get permission. Pack me up some of my medications so I can have it with me when I leave with you. Okay. Okay. I ain't doing nothing sitting here. Alright, bye. Now that phone call is probably for my mother. You keep calling me.
Don't we're gonna get the same answer every time.
I got ready to answer the phone, tell them I'm asleep. Click.
Oh, it's done. But there's blood everywhere. Click.
No. White people call the police on me saying stuff like that.
I did that. Somebody called my fucking phone. They're like, what? Click.
Anyway, back to the conversation.
Okay.
People that don't know any better.
If you earn a
will more than likely not
single dollar extra, the whole thing is taken away. If you take a job that's paying $1,200, you might not only lose your benefits, but because of your taxes and other costs of transportation, you might end up having less money than before. So if you actively try to better your situation and your total income is not improving or even shrinking,
because they have me drag, they have me goals,
rewards passive behavior.
You know,
a basic income can never be cut, and therefore getting a job and additional income will always make your financial situation better.
You can get a real good at job and get that UBI.
Instead of a ceiling, it creates a floor from which people can lift themselves up. But Even if UBI is the better model, is it economically feasible? What about inflation? Will prices just rise, making everything just like it was before? Since the money is not being created by magic or printers, it needs to be transferred from somewhere. It's more of a shift of funds than the creation of new ones. Hence, no inflation. Okay, but how do we pay for it? There's no right answer here because the world is too diverse. How well off a country is, what the local values are. Are things like high taxes or cutting the defense budget politically acceptable or not? How much welfare state is already in place, and is it effective? Each country has its own individual path to a UBI. The easiest way to pay for a UBI is to end all welfare and use the free funds to finance it. Not only would this make a number of government agencies disappear, which in itself saves money, it would also eliminate a lot of bureaucracy. On the other hand, cutting them could leave many people worse off than before. If the goal is to have a foundation for everybody, there still need to be programs of some sort, because just like countries, people are not the same. The second way, higher taxes, especially for the very wealthy. In the US, for example, there's been a lot of economic growth, but most of the benefits from it have gone to the richest few percent. The wealth gap is rapidly widening, and many argue that it might be time to distribute the spoils more evenly to preserve the social peace. There could be taxes on financial transactions, capital, land value, carbon, or even robots. But UBI is not necessarily expensive. According to a recent study, a UBI of $1,000 per month in the US could actually grow the GDP by 12% over 8 years, because it would enable more people to spend more and increase overall demand. What about the people who do the dirty work? Who will work in the fields, crawl through sewers, or lift pianos? If you don't need to for survival, will people still do hard, boring, and unfulfilling labor? UBI might give them enough leverage to demand better pay and working conditions. A study calculated that every extra dollar going to wage earners would add about $1.21 to the national economy, while every extra dollar going to high-income Americans would add only 39 cents. There would still be very rich and poor people, but we could eliminate fear, suffering, and existential panic for a significant part of the population. Making poor citizens better off could be a smart economic tactic. For some, this isn't enough. They want a UBI large enough to live a middle-class existence. If we set the financial obstacle aside, this idea fundamentally challenges how our society is constructed. By earning money, you earn the possibility to take part in society. This determines your status and options, but it also forces many people into spending huge chunks of their time on things they don't care about. In 2016, only 33% of US employees were engaged at work, 16% were actively miserable, and the remaining 51% were only physically present.
Damn.
67% of people stop working if they could. It would be unfair to portray work as just a chore. Work gives us something to do. It challenges us. It motivates us to improve. It forces us to engage. Many find friends or partners at work. We work for
I'll take that motherfucker donut. Fuck you, nigga.
We're looking for something to do with our lives.
Well, they found him.
And for many people, work gives them meaning.
Breaking news, nigga. They found a Waffle House shooter. They found butt naked in the woods.
If all welfare programs were exchanged for one single payment,
the nigga was butt ass naked.
Since the money is not being created by magic or printers, it needs to be transferred from somewhere. It's more of a shift of funds to the creation of new ones. Hence, no inflation. It might be time to distribute the spoils more evenly to preserve fulfilling labor. UBI might give them enough leverage to demand to be miserable, and the remaining 51% were only physically present. Would 67% of people stop working if they could? It would be unfair to portray work as just a chore. Work gives us something to do. It
My bad.
challenges us,
I touched the mouse and
motivates
it
us to
jumped.
improve, it forces us to engage. Many find friends or partners at work. We work for social status, wealth, and our place in the world. We're looking for something to do with our lives. And for many people, work gives them meaning. There are other concerns with UBI. If all welfare programs were exchanged for one single payment, this gives the government a lot of leverage. Individual programs are easier to attack or cut than a multitude. Or populists might promise drastic changes to the UBI to get into power. And a universal basic income doesn't tackle all problems when it comes to inequality. Rents, for example. While $1,000 might be great in the countryside, it's not a lot for expensive metropolitan areas, which could lead to poor people moving outwards and the difference between rich and poor becoming even more extreme. And of course, for some people, the concept of work itself not being essential for survival is appalling.
Conclusion.
So is the universal basic income a good idea? The honest answer is that we don't know yet. There needs to be a lot more research, more and bigger test runs. We need to think about what kind of UBI we want and what we're prepared to give up to pay for it. The potential is huge. It might be the most promising model to sustainably eliminate poverty. It might seriously reduce the amount of desperation in the world and make us all much less stressed out. This video was made possible by a universal basic income provided by you, our viewers. 10,000 people around the world gift us a monthly income on patreon.com/Kurzgesagt. You enable us to pay salaries and buy new hardware, you enable us to make more videos, and you enable us to spend more time on them. Kurzgesagt would truly not be what it is today without your help. You help us stay independent, and you give us the freedom to put quality before quantity. Thank you so much.
That right there. That's how you can donate to them. That's who provided the video. And I'm using the video by fair use. Way of fair use. So they're saying $1,000. But my question would be, where would the money come from? Because you gotta take into consideration. Like rent. Like there's some places that the rent like go for $1,000.
They have.
Huh?
They have the money. See, if they did that, then they would not. People wouldn't have to worry about food stamps. That cuts off.
Yeah, but it doesn't pay for rent or shit like that.
That's in order to keep people working. And technically, you can pay for anything you want to.
Yes.
But if you make the bad choice, that's your own problem.
That is true as well.
Oh yeah, this motherfucker was crazy. They said he was having he was delusional.
Let's do this. This video that I'm going to play is by way of fair use. This woman right here. She is crazy.
Hey, I don't want no negativity around me, baby. 2017. I got my taxes I paid for my LIFO. My truck is ready. My rent is paid. My bills are paid. My daughter finna graduate high school. She gonna be a bad motherfucker for her prom. I still got money left in the bank. I'm gonna be fine and shit this summer, shitting on all you young bitches. And last but not least, I just checked my food stamp balance and I got $987. My car come on again on the 7th, it's gonna be like $11.50. Hoes ain't no level right there. Hoes can't sit with me. Hoes can't eat with me. Hoes ain't got $987 on y'all food stamp card. I'm finna get a whole nother $11.50 in 3-4 more days. Fuck y'all. You hoes do not bring me down to y'all level. Y'all broke, y'all mad, y'all miserable, y'all unhappy. And wish I can't sit on that bench with you. Miss me with the bush.
Y'all see that, right? That video, you heard about how much money she getting. Oh, you on the call? Then why don't you speak? So I don't even know if somebody comes on. You ain't on the call, you better speak. Using these videos on welfare use. This is what I don't know. Be using this by way of
Ancestry DNA has 5 times more detail than
using it by way of fair use. Fair use. Fair use, YouTube.
on an unexpected journey to discover your heritage. Get Ancestry DNA. When it comes to making a living, some folks go to work, others rely on government help. But what you might not know is that sometimes working hard doesn't really pay off.
Well, here's the proof. A recent study found that several states actually pay welfare recipients better than people who work entry-level jobs. Fox 17's Michaela Lewis is here now to explain.
Scott and Stacy, welfare recipients in Tennessee typically are not making more money than minimum wage jobs. But for more than half of the United States, it's a different story. We take a closer look at the study's disturbing trends.
It's frustrating because you're working trying to make an honest living, and people who don't work, they're getting paid more than you.
Ashley Hunter is starting a new job with the help of the local career center after being laid off.
They help you, they prepare you, they give you the resources that you need as far as their sites online.
Hunter is getting back in the workforce, but in states like California, others are making a living without working. The Cato Institute's The Work versus Welfare Trade-Off 2013 study found
if you took a mother with 2 children who received all 7 of the most common benefits, she potentially could have benefits worth more than what she could earn in a minimum wage job in 35 states.
According to Michael Tanner with the Cato Institute, in 13 states, welfare pays more than $15 an hour. Each state is different, but on an average, minimum wage pays about $7.25 an hour. Plus, Tanner says welfare recipients get multiple benefits provided through overlapping programs.
We tend to think of welfare as a single program, but in reality, the federal government has 126 separate anti-poverty programs, 72 of which give either cash or benefits directly to individuals.
Tanner says more than half of Tennessee welfare recipients work, but nationwide, only 42% work.
Welfare generous benefits have simply become too generous in too many states, and we need to put a cap on them. We need to look seriously at enforcing the work requirements to ensure that people on welfare do move into work.
If I gotta work, everybody else should have to work too.
Yep.
According to the Cato Institute study, in Tennessee, the average monthly welfare payment is about $180 versus other states, like Kansas, where it's more than $400. Michaela Lewis, Fox 17 News.
What the sister said, I agree with it. If I gotta work, other people need to work as well. It's not fair that we have to get up, work, and deal with the things we deal with at a job while they just sit at home all day, scratching their behind and watching TV, getting free food with their platinum food stamp card. They get their lights half off, they get their rent probably for $8, and they still don't want to go to work. I don't get why somebody can be on welfare 10, 12 years. I'm sorry. They do need the cutoff point. Now, when you are unemployed, you can get unemployment while you're looking for something else. But the people don't want to do that. They don't want to work. They got some, females that have kids just so they can get more benefits.
In the next video by way of fair use. Fair use.
Southern California and in 16 other states as well have no way to buy groceries.
Now, I'm just showing what the video. Excuse me, I'm just showing what is. What is presented.
Reaction on all of this. Hello, Wolfie.
This white damn woman lived in a $1.2 million house.
This Food for Less behind me here in Hollywood is just one of several stores that accept these food
This is a
stamp
white
debt cards.
woman.
Of course, not today. I should say that we were hearing several different things about what exactly happened. According to some reports, a computer upgrade caused a glitch. Other reports say a routine backup system check is to blame, but we know this much. A computer glitch caused the problem, and plenty of people are very angry.
I go to the register, they ask me, how you gonna pay? I said, well, food stamps. Oh, we're shut down, we can't pay for food stamps. I got kids to feed, because the government stuff, now I can't feed my family. This is crazy.
Fedra Thompson is hardly alone in her anger and frustration after learning that the government program that helps her buy food for her family is not working. This grocery store's computer will not accept her electronic benefits transfer or EBT card. The card is basically a food stamp debit card.
What's going on with America? What are they trying to do to us? Now they're trying to starve us to death. Now we can't buy food. You know what? I'm so upset. I don't even want to talk to them about it because this is crazy.
The scene at Food for Less in Hollywood is indicative of a nationwide breakdown. According to reports, a routine system backup check resulted in the glitch that shut down the program in at least 17 states. Many people affected assume it's all part of the government shutdown, and they refuse to believe anything else. Regardless, they are now faced with a challenge.
I don't know what the glitch is. I don't know what's going on. So I'm just trying to get more informed and figure out, how I can get something.
How many kids do you have?
I got 6 kids. Okay?
6?
I got 6 kids I have to feed.
A lot of
What is that?
Fedra Thompson now says she's going to look into food banks or soup kitchens. Other people say they will try to borrow food or money from their family members and friends, and yet others say they will simply have to go without. Supposedly, the problem.
And my question is, what happened? What would happen if the government crashed?
Closer attention is paid to the role of food in our daily lives.
Fair use.
Including
Using this by way of fair
concerns over
use.
how we get it, the cost and nutritional value, and why some don't have enough to eat. We'll be looking at some of those issues throughout this week, starting tonight with a report on the impact of changes to the food stamp program. The NewsHour's Mary Jo Brooks filed this story from Colorado.
Go ahead and grab 3 of those.
24-year-old Angie Magaka spends a lot of time shopping and preparing food for her 2 young daughters in Denver.
It saves a lot.
6 months ago, she was forced to quit her job to care for her mother. That loss of income meant she needed help paying for groceries, so she applied for the federal program known as SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which gave her the maximum benefit for a family of 3, $526 a month.
Things can happen in people's lives where you have no other resources, you have nothing else.
There ain't enough money.
Nothing else to fall back on. Everyone comes to a point in their life where they need help. That's my point in life where I'm at now.
We got a lot of whole grain bread, so these are going to fill you up more.
But Magaka will receive a little less help now that extra money from the stimulus program ended on November 1st. President Obama had used stimulus money to boost the SNAP program during the recession, but now the money has run out. And even for Magaka, who receives more than the average recipient, $20 less a month means a lot.
Well, $20 is milk for the month, or $20 is meat for 2 meals. $20 is it's a lot. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. It's a meal, it's milk, it's vegetables, meat, something, and it helps. Everything helps. Every little bit helps.
To make up the difference, Magaka went to the Metro Care Ring, a nonprofit organization that provides fresh produce, groceries, and nutrition counseling free of charge, offering people choices that are healthy. The number of people needing that help has skyrocketed, according to Director Lynn Butler.
It's staggering. Since November 1st at Metro Caring, we have seen an increase in need. We have seen long lines, longer lines at our facility. And it's not just because of the holiday season upcoming. We're certain it's because of the decrease in benefits. Since November 1st, the lines have been down the block.
Tomorrow, then.
From 2008 to 2012, the recession and weak recovery led more people than ever before to apply for food assistance. In Colorado, the number of individuals receiving SNAP benefits doubled to 511,000 people, or 10% of the population. Nationally, the number grew from 28 to 48 million people, or 15% of all Americans. That rapid rate of growth has slowed a bit this year as the economy improved, but the SNAP program still costs $80 billion a year and has become the target of Republican budget cutters in Washington. As part of the Farm Bill, House members voted to cut $40 billion from the program over the next 10 years. The Senate voted to cut $4 billion, so the bill is now stalled. Republicans say the food stamp program has ballooned out of control, giving benefits to people who don't deserve them.
Nice day today, though, huh?
He gets by with a little help from his friends and you, the taxpayer.
This summer, some lawmakers seized on a report by Fox News about a 29-year-old unemployed surfer in California who used food stamp benefits to buy lobster.
Thank you for shopping with us.
Just like that.
Please remove your bags.
All paid for by our wonderful tax dollars.
It's an image that Cherie Kerrigan says is far from the kind of life
That's
she
a
leads.
damn
Do you
shame.
have a letter?
A single mother of 2 teens, Kerrigan began receiving benefits when she went back to college. She's now working on a master's degree and volunteers 20 hours a week at Metro Caring. She says she's very careful about what she buys, and still, the government benefits don't cover everything.
We usually run out about a week before they reload. So our last week of the month is usually pretty tight on what we're eating. We have to be much more careful. And we're careful to begin with. Very budget shoppers.
Most Republicans don't dispute statistics which show 2/3 of recipients are children, the elderly, or the disabled. But they say more than 3 million Americans are able-bodied and could work. Cutting benefits for those people would save the program $2 billion a year. Representative Tim Huelskamp is a Republican from Kansas.
We believe in work. We require productivity. We think it's good for the taxpayers, but most importantly, I think it's better for these adults and families. Now, the vast majority of folks receiving food stamps wouldn't be in this category of able-bodied adults. There are 3.5 million Americans that fit this category, and we're just expecting them to actually look for a job. Because in my area, you look for a job, you're going to find one.
Huelskamp says tightening restrictions, including eligibility, will help reduce long-term dependency on the entitlement program.
What I'm proposing are some actual policy changes that will probably reduce spending, but some of the welfare reform proposals that worked well that Bill Clinton signed in the mid-90s in 1996, trying to apply those and maintain those for food stamps.
But Kathy Underhill of Hunger Free Colorado bristles at the notion that the program encourages dependency.
What the data shows us is that the average length of participation in the SNAP program is 10 months. So it's certainly a safety net. It's not a hammock.
They do ask that you bring a photo ID.
Underhill's organization acts as a clearinghouse for people who have exhausted their food benefits and need advice on where to turn. Underhill says there's been a spike in calls since the November 1st benefits reduction, but that pales in comparison to what they would see if the larger cuts get passed.
It would really change the entire landscape of hunger in America if the $40 billion cuts went through. You'd be looking at the prevalence of hunger and malnutrition spiking incredibly. You also have the economic impact. Talk to grocers and find out, they'll tell you it means they need fewer employees. They need to purchase fewer products. That means there's fewer, trucks moving that product. I mean, it has this whole rippling effect that would be quite profound.
The lawmakers on Capitol Hill, who will determine the size of the next round of cuts, will resume their work after the Thanksgiving break. In the meantime, Angela Magaka is bracing for a leaner holiday season this year.
Okay, this was in this video by way of fair use. By way of fair use.
After Donald Trump released his budget, where he will cut welfare in Section 8 by $6 billion, I notice a lot of black men are celebrating these cuts on welfare in Section 8. This means a lot of these welfare queens will not be allowed to just mooch off to the government and freeload off the government. Now, a lot of black women are wondering, why are so many black men celebrating the cuts of these entitlement programs? Because a lot of black men feel that these programs are the reason why black men are not in the household. They're the reason why black men don't have rights to their own children. Section 8 has replaced black fathers over the last 30 years. These government programs have replaced black fathers. And if you look back in history, going back to the 1960s, LBJ created these programs to take black fathers out of the household. They created these government programs to remove black fathers from the household. And this is when the single mother epidemic began. Before the 1960s, 90% of black households.
Pause. Yeah, we'll pause this right now. Wife has to make an important phone call. But that's nobody's business on who she's calling.
That's telling my personal business. I'm gonna see you in court.
That's just mean.
No, it's mean of you to keep telling my personal business.
Let me mute my mic. We will be right back after these short messages. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Just
Yeah, family heard something.
yeah. Here you go. Back to the video. We're using this by way of fair use.
Had two-parent households. 90% of black kids were raised in a two-parent household. It wasn't until LBJ and these welfare programs in the 1960s that the single mother epidemic started. And these programs forced black fathers out of the household. By taking away these programs, it's going to give black fathers more rights to their children. A lot of these welfare kings won't just be able to lay on their ass and have baby after baby and mooch off the government. To all the welfare queens, your free ride is over. Your free ride is over. Now, not all welfare queens are black. There's plenty of welfare queens that are white. There's plenty of welfare queens that are Latino. This has nothing to do with race. But it has affected the black community more than any other community, because the black community has the highest rate of single mother households. And this is why a lot of black men are sick and tired of these government programs. And a lot of black women will use these government programs to keep fathers away from their kids. They will use these programs to force them to pay child support, to force them to not be allowed to see their kids. And I think this is the reason why so many black men have gotten sick and tired of these government programs. Now, not every person that gets welfare is a welfare queen. There's some people that get welfare in Section 8 and use it for the right reasons. These programs are supposed to be a safety net. They're supposed to be a short-term solution for people who lose their jobs and they need a short-term solution to help them feed their families and keep a roof over their head. But the problem is there's so many people that abuse the system. There's so many people that take advantage of the system and abuse the system. You got people that have been living on Section 8 and HUD for 10 years, for 20 years.
30 years
Nobody
plus.
should be living on Section 8 and HUD for 10 and 20 years. The only people that should be allowed to live on Section 8 and HUD for that long are people who are disabled.
Or
Are people
disabled.
who are senior
Or
citizens.
they buying a house.
If
Or
you're a
they own-
disabled person, if you're a senior citizen, you should be allowed to live rent-free for the rest of your life. But if you're a perfectly healthy, able-bodied person, there's no way in the hell you should be allowed to lay on your ass and live rent-free for 10, 20 years. That's ridiculous. And this is why these programs needed to be reformed. These programs needed to be reformed so people will stop abusing the system. And by abusing the system, you're keeping yourself locked in the projects for the rest of your life. This is what a lot of people don't realize. You got people who've been living on it. There's some people that look at Section 8 and welfare like it's their career. You got people passing this down from generation to generation to generation.
Generational
When their
poverty.
grandmother was on Section 8 and welfare, their mother was on Section 8 and welfare, and then they pass it on to their daughters.
Excuse me.
And then their daughters pass it on to their daughters. So you have a generational cycle of poverty, a generational cycle of ignorance. And I think this needs to stop. Welfare should be for people who really need the help. Section 8 should be for people who really need the help. There should be a 2-year limit on how long you're allowed to live on Section 8. There should be a 2-year limit on how long you're allowed to live on HUD. These are programs that are supposed to be short-term. A short-term solution to get you on your feet. Nobody should be living. The only people that should be living on Section 8 and HUD for more than 2 years are people who are disabled. If you're not disabled, you should have 2 years to get a job, get your money saved up, and move into a house or an apartment where you're paying your own rent and your own bills. Because there's been so many people abusing the system, they had to do something to change it around. Now, what's also going to happen starting next year is that everybody that's getting welfare, you have to be working in order to get welfare. You have to either be working or looking for a job and showing that you're looking for a job in order to get welfare. There's not going to be any more of this. You're just laying on your ass month after month and getting welfare, getting $300 a month welfare. That's ridiculous. So I think these changes need to be made. The last thing I want to say is there's a lot of working class black women who have never gotten welfare. And they're completely against welfare queens. They're completely against these women who lay on their ass and have baby after baby and live off the government. Working class women hate welfare queens. Working class women hate hood rats. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube of working class black women speaking out against these hood rats and speaking out against these welfare queens. So a lot of people push this stereotype that every black woman is a welfare queen living off the government. That's not true. There is plenty of working class black women who go to work every day, who work 40-hour work weeks, who are just as sick and tired of these welfare queens wasting taxpayers' money while they lay on their ass and live off the government. There's a woman by the name of Carmen Kaboom. This is one of my favorite YouTubers. She did a video on this topic, and she talked about how she's glad that they're cutting these government programs, and these welfare queens won't be able to get away with freeloading off the system anymore.
Using this by way of fair use. Fair use.
She got a lot of hatred from a lot of these feminists on YouTube.
I remember she went out for them
like
motherfuckers.
about Carmen Kaboom is that she's funny, she has a sense of humor,
And
but
she-
she also speaks a lot of truth.
And she don't give
speaks
a
a lot of
fuck.
truth in her videos.
That too.
So check out Carmen Kaboom's video. She makes a lot of good, valid points. Subscribe to her channel.
I already
a lot
did.
of people have different opinions about this topic. Leave a comment, rate, and subscribe.
She can work. She look like she able-bodied. I'm gonna be using. Yeah, you got. Oh man. Somebody sent me something. You ever heard of the China Skyway? It's called the China Skywalk. Hell no, I ain't getting on that shit. It's a glass bridge where you can see everything. And then it was, man, that shit look like it a bus on his ass. Talk about that, a cracker fan. Using this by way of fair use. Fair use. Using this by way of fair use.
What's going on?
The fuck? Yep, that'll be me right there. I'll be laying on the ground like, nope. I wouldn't even go in the first place. I wouldn't do that shit either. The bitch is gonna swing off the cliff. Nope. Nope, ain't doing that shit. I'm not doing that. Nope, ain't doing it. Kiss my ass. Nope. I'll be just like him. I'm not doing that shit. No, I'm not doing that. Nope. Nope, I ain't doing that shit. You can have that. I ain't doing that. I'm not watching that. Nope, ain't doing that. I'll be acting a hell of a lot worse. I ain't gotta worry about that because I'm never going to China. All these videos that you've seen have been used by way of fair use. Here's the thing, I will never go here because I have an extreme fear of heights. That is the reason. Like I said, I'm gonna end the stream. Peace out, you guys. Have a good day.